Namaskar. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. My name is Pradeep Gokhale. I am a research professor in Central University of Tibetan Studies at Sarnath. This particular lesson, which is entitled Dinnaga's Theory of Inference, Part 1, has been written by Professor Madhumita Chattopadhyay. In the present module, the notion of anumana will be introduced mainly with reference to Buddhist logical tradition, and again within Buddhist logical tradition we will be referring to Dinnaga's version of anumana. We can say that Dinnaga laid the foundation. He was a pioneering figure insofar as Buddhist theory of inference is concerned. As it is well known, Buddhists admit two varieties of valid cognition, or two pramanas, or two kinds of samyak jnana, namely pratyaksha and anumana. And anumana is regarded as that variety of cognition in which, on the basis of information of something perceived, one proceeds to have information regarding some unknown object. So, anumana is derived from anu plus manam, that is subsequent cognition, and then naturally it is called subsequent cognition because it is preceded by perception of the probans and also the recollection of the relation between probans and probandum. Now, this relation is called avinabhava, invariable concomitance. Now, this invariable concomitance has been understood in different ways in the history of Indian logic. In Dinnaga's framework, this invariable concomitance was understood as a regular relation observed in Sapaka and vipaka, that is similar cases and dissimilar cases. In Dharmakirti's framework, it was understood as universal and necessary relation based on either causation or identity. The concepts of hetu, sadhya, paksa, sapaka, vipaka and drishtanta, all these are very important terms in theory of inference, and first we should be introduced to these terms. Now, first one is hetu. The element that plays the most significant role in inference is probans or hetu. It is on the basis of the perception of a probans in the locus, that is dharmi, that one can have knowledge of the probandum. Now, suppose we take the inference, the house is on fire because a gust of smoke is coming out of the house. Where smoke is seen, fire is also seen, like in the kitchen. Now, in this inference, smoke is regarded as the hetu because only when the person has perceived smoke in the house, which is the dharmi, does he infer the existence of fire there, otherwise he cannot. Now, Dinnaga in his pramana samuchchaya states the three features of hetu, namely existence in the locus. This locus is called anumeya, then existence in other instances similar to the locus, which is called sapaksha, that is existence in sapaksha, and non-existence in those cases where the probandum is absent. Now, those cases where the probandum is absent, they are called vipaksha or asapaksha, so non-existence in asapaksha. These are the three features, and they are presented in pramana samuchchaya in this form, but there are other texts like pramana, this nyaya pravesha and nyaya mukha by the same author, where we find a similar formulation. Now, the next term is sadhya. Sadhya is that which is going to be established in the inference. So, sadhya stands for the object as possessed of the property which is to be established. In the secondary sense, sadhya stands for mere dharma. So, either dharma vishishta dharmi is sadhya, or dharma is called sadhya. That is, suppose we are proving the existence of fire in a house, then house which possesses fire, that will be sadhya, or fire in the house will be sadhya. In both ways, the term sadhya is used. So, in this sense, sadhya has, now when we say that sadhya is a dharma, only then we can talk of the relation between hetu and sadhya, that is invariable concomitance between hetu and sadhya. So there is a commentary, sub-commentary on Nyaya Pravesha, where it is said that since the sadhya stands for the collection, that is samudaya, of property and its bearer, that is dharma and dharmi, the sadhya character is attributed in the secondary sense to the property alone, that is dharma matra, only dharma, or to the property bearer, dharmi, because both of them are parts of the collection. Then the next term is paksha, which stands for the particular case where the province is found and the probandum or the sadhya is to be determined. Now generally paksha, often regarded as anumeya, though the term has other denotations also, is defined as a property possessor, that is dharmi, which is qualified by a property, that is property of the probandum. So paksha is dharma vishishta dharmi. According to Nyaya Pravesha, the paksha is commonly known as property possessor, which the proponent wants to establish as being qualified by a commonly known property. So, for example, when a person proceeds to infer the existence of fire in a house on the basis of his observation of smoke coming out of it, there may be a doubt as to whether there is fire in the house or not. But the existence of the house cannot be doubted. That is the property bearer. The existence of property bearer should not be dubitable. The existence of the property to be proved can be dubitable, but the property bearer should not be dubitable. That is the idea. However, since probandum is not known to be the property of the property bearer at the time of the inference, the anumeya cannot be defined as dharma vishishto dharmi, property bearer qualified by the property. So, according to Jinendra Buddhi, another commentator, he interprets the definition that is dharma vishishta dharmi as jidnyasita dharma vishishto dharmi. That is the property bearer where the particular property is desired to be known. So here the sadhya property is desired to be known. The existence of dharmi is not desired to be known, it is already known. The term paksha is also used as a part of sadhana, that is proof or argument. In this sense, it is analogous to what is called pratidnya in Nyaya. Now, sapaksha. Sapaksha means, literal meaning is similar to paksha. But then similar in what respect? In paksha, we are trying to prove the existence of sadhya. Now, in sapaksha, that sadhya is already present, and in that sense, sapaksha is similar to paksha. That is, it possesses the property which is to be proved in paksha. Sapaksha actually consists of what you can say drishtanta dharmis, that is the positive instances where, for example, in the case of smoke fire instance, the kitchen will be a part of sapaksha, because in the kitchen the existence of fire is already established. So Dharmakirti also says that homogeneous instances are similar to the locus or paksha in respect of their having the common property, namely probandum. So this is how sapaksha is regarded as something similar to paksha. Then we come to vipaksha. Sometimes instead of vipaksha, the term asapaksha is used, and it is understood in different ways. That is, one meaning is, of course, so if sapaksha is similar to paksha, then vipaksha is dissimilar to paksha. That is, in sapaksha, the existence of sadhya property is already established, whereas in vipaksha, the non-existence of sadhya property is already established. In this sense, it is dissimilar to paksha. But asapaksha is, the term asapaksha is interpreted in different ways, in three different ways. That is, asapaksha is other than sapaksha. That is, it is, now if sapaksha is understood as homogeneous class, then asapaksha is other than homogeneous class, or it is opposite of sapaksha, that is contradictory of the homogeneous class, or asapaksha simply can mean absence of sapaksha. non-sapaksha, absence of sapaksha, so absence of the homogeneous class. These are the three ways in which vipaksha or asapaksha has been understood. So therefore, sometimes it is said that vipaksha is of three kinds. The simple absence of the probandum, what is just different from the probandum, and what is opposed to the probandum. So these are the three ways in which vipaksha is understood. Then we come to drishtanta. So drishtanta is simply drishtaha antaha. That is, drishta means what is observed, and anta, so which carries the point at issue to the conclusion. Now, in Nyayamukha, Dinnaga has defined example as one which expresses that the reason is followed by the probandum, and that wherever the probandum is absent, the reason also is absent. Actually, this particular definition contains a definition of both types of drishtanta, anvaya drishtanta and vyatireka drishtanta, that is positive instance and negative instance. In positive instance, hetu and sadhya are co-present or co-existent, whereas in vaidharmya drishtanta or vyatireka drishtanta, probandum and probans or hetu and sadhya both are absent. So naturally, anvaya drishtanta will be called homogeneous instance, and vyatireka drishtanta will be called heterogeneous instance. Homogeneous instance is based on similarity or sadharmya, and heterogeneous instance is based on dissimilarity or vaidharmya. So in the inference mentioned above, that is in the inference of fire based on smoke, kitchen can be called homogeneous example, whereas lake can be called heterogeneous example. So now, in the light of all these terms, we can come back to the three characteristics of sound probans. As we saw, sound probans, that is sadhetu, a good probans, sound probans. I am not using the word valid probans deliberately, because I don't want the connotation of validity, invalidity, which is dominant in Western logic. Here that consideration is not dominant, but a good probans or which is called sadhetu is supposed to satisfy three characteristics, three conditions. One is its definite existence or presence in the locus of inference, that is, it must be definitely present in the locus, that is in paksha. Then its definite existence in all the members of the class similar to the locus. But of course, when I am saying definite existence, I don't want to say that it must be existent in all the members of the class of the similar cases. That is, it is not necessary that hetu should be existent in the whole of sapaksha, but it should be existent at least in a part of sapaksha. That is how the second condition is understood. And third condition is its absence in the members of the class dissimilar to the locus. That is, a good probans, sadhetu, should be absent from the whole of vipaksha. Here we are not allowing that it can be absent from a part of vipaksha. Now let us consider the first characteristic, pakshe sattvam eva, that is definite existence in the locus. So when we say that hetu should be existent in paksha, by that we are excluding the possibility of unproved probans, that is the fallacy called asiddha is excluded by this condition. For example, take the case of a fallacy. World is eternal because it is visible. That is shabdaha nityaha chakshushatvat. Now here chakshushatva, which is given as hetu, visibility which is given as hetu, is not present in world, it is not present in paksha, and therefore this inference is fallacious. The significance of the word eva has to be taken into account. Dinnaga deliberately uses the word eva, which is meant to exclude something, to give a definite can say boundaries to the meaning of each condition. Now, what is the meaning of eva? And that meaning will depend upon the placement of the word eva in each condition. That is, in the first condition, it is pakshe sattvam eva. The eva is placed after sattvam. Now, this implies that hetu should be definitely existent in paksha, and this excludes something. Now, what does it exclude? It excludes unrelatedness. That is, hetu should not be unrelated with paksha. That is the import of this particular condition, and it does not exclude other relatedness. That is, in Sanskrit, these two expressions, these two types of exclusion are expressed as ayoga vyavachcheda and anya yoga vyavachcheda. So, in the first condition, when it is said that pakshe sattvam eva, this eva indicates ayoga vyavachcheda, the exclusion of unrelatedness. It does not mean exclusion of other relatedness, anya yoga vyavachcheda. That means hetu should definitely exist in paksha, but that does not rule out the possibility of hetu existing elsewhere outside paksha. Now we come to the next second characteristic, sapakshe eva sattvam, existence only in homogeneous instances. Now, in the statement of the second feature of the probans, the word existence is used to avoid the fallacy of incompatible probances, viruddha. So, if we do not accept this particular condition, if this particular condition is violated, then the fallacy called viruddha can occur. That is, if hetu does not exist in sapaksha at all, but it exists in vipaksha, then there will be viruddha fallacy. For example, sound is eternal because it is a product. Now, in this particular inference, being a product is hetu, and sapaksha will be what? Eternal things other than sound. For example, akasha is an eternal thing other than sound, it is sapaksha, and being a product does not exist in sapaksha, being a product does not exist in akasha. So, here there is a fallacy called viruddha. Now, here the word eva is used to avoid the fallacy of being overly inclusive. That is, sadharana anaikantika. In order to avoid sadharana anaikantika, the word eva is used. Here you can say that the word eva is used for exclusion of what? Anya yoga vyavachcheda. It is used for anya yoga vyavachcheda and not for ayoga vyavachcheda. So, anya yoga vyavachcheda means hetu should exist only in sapaksha, not in vipaksha. So, this existence in vipaksha is excluded by this particular use of the word eva. And third condition is vipakshe asatvam eva. So, again here eva is used at the end, which is meant to exclude ayoga. It is again for ayoga vyavachcheda and not for anya yoga vyavachcheda. The third characteristic of the probans says that the probans must be definitely non-existent in all the instances heterogeneous to the locus, that is, all the instances which do not possess the probandum. Now, this characteristic of the probans is designated as a vyatireka or negative pervasion. That is, hetu does not exist in vipaksha, means hetu does not exist where sadhya does not exist. So, in this way we get the negative pervasion through non-existence in vipaksha. So, here also the word absence is used to avoid the incompatible probances, that is viruddha hetu, that is hetu should be absent from vipaksha, but if it is existent in vipaksha, then there will be a fallacy called viruddha, and the word eva is used to exclude sadharana hetu, that is, if hetu exists in sapaksha as well as vipaksha, It should not exist in vipaksha, but if it exists in both, that is sapaksha as well as vipaksha, then there will be a fallacy called sadharana anaikantika. The example is sound is produced immediately after human effort because it is impermanent like a jar. Now, difference between second and third characteristic. So, here it should be noted that according to the third characteristic, a sound proband should be absent from all the similar cases, that is, from cases where the probandum does not exist. But such universality is not needed in the case of second characteristic of the hetu. That is, it is not necessary that a sound proband should be found in all the sapakshas or similar instances. So, existence in sapaksha does not imply necessarily existence in the whole of sapaksha. It can allow the existence in part of sapaksha. But when we say non-existence in vipaksha, we cannot say that it could be non-existence in part of vipaksha and existence in part of vipaksha. This cannot be allowed. The non-existence in vipaksha should be non-existence in the whole of vipaksha. For example, the hetu being produced by human effort in the inference, words are non-eternal because they are produced through human effort, is absent from the whole vipaksha, but it exists only in a part of sapaksha. So, for example, lightning belongs to sapaksha, but hetu does not exist in it. So, this is permitted, existence in part of sapaksha is permitted.